Again, and look, I want to talk about something extremely important today. How many of you would agree that if you don't have fire in your belly and if you sort of don't have a purpose, if you don't jump out of bed with a mission in life, you sort of live in a humdrum world, feeling, there has to be more. Well, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be revealing my personal system, because life is about systems in many ways. I'm going to just share my personal system or process that I use to keep that fire burning. And look, I'm also going to share some personal stories with you about my life, because I feel it's the best way to help you if I can be honest with you and open with you and share with you the things that I've learned and let you know that you're not alone in the situation where sometimes you may have lost that passion or you may have lost that purpose. Then just maybe by me being very honest with you, I might help some of you out there rekindle that fire again and get out there and start helping people and getting that fire lit again in your belly. Because when that fire goes out, okay, when you just lose that passion to get things done and accomplish your mission, you're just sort of treading water, and internally you're really dying. And so I want to do my level best today, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that does not happen to you. And the system I'm about to share with you has not only helped me, but it's helped so many people that I've taught this process to as well. And I can't take all the credit. I actually, as many of you know, I study from the best, and I take bits and pieces from individuals. And here's the culmination, I guess, of a number of them. One of the key influences is Tony Robbins, and so he's helped me a lot, and a lot of these things I've learned, especially when I went to his island in Fiji. And so again, I'm just going to share these with you tonight. Take notes, because again, this can be a game changer for you if you are in that situation where you're not progressing, where you're not kicking those goals like you used to, and you just sort of find it really hard to get excited about things in life again. So you ready? You got pad and pen? All right, well, cross our fingers. Here's how to make sure you're not feeling lost again and how you get that fire back into your life. So, look, the bottom line I want you to understand firstly is that I'm sharing my story with you so you can understand that what you may or may not be going through is not just your burden, it's not just your situation that you got to cope with. So many people, in fact, studies have shown that over 80% of people are unhappy with their life, ladies and gentlemen. They try spouse number 1, spouse number 2, job number 4, career number 5, and they're still unfulfilled. So why is that? Well, all will be revealed in a few minutes. But I want to just come back to where I'll tell you a little bit about my story and why I'm sharing this tonight. Because I know the impact of when you lose that fire in your belly, the impact it can have not just on you, but on those you love, the people that you care about in life the most. And so for those of you that don't know, about 4 years ago, I got very sick. So all of you know that I've accomplished a fair bit in my life, I guess, more than the average teddy bear. And so I've seen the biggest highs and lows and highs again. And what happened 4 years ago was I caught these things called parasites, and I didn't even know they existed, the little blighters. What they did is I traveled I was traveling probably 2 weeks of the month continuously around the world, just going to different places and helping people and sharing my street smart way of things. And in one of the countries I landed in, I caught these parasites, and they literally ate out the lining of my stomach, ladies and gentlemen. I was told by my doctor, after visiting 5 doctors to find out what was going wrong with me, I found a doctor that was also a naturopath, and he got me onto the road to recovery. But it took 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, for me to start to get back on deck. And it was not until the 4th year that I started to get traction again. And what happened was, the 3 years I had a physical situation, okay? I literally could not get off the lounge. It was an effort for me to do anything physical at all. And, okay, so I found the problem, and I found the doctor, and I found the naturopath, and I figured, well, when I get myself fixed, and when I get the parasites gone, and I get my motor running again, everything will go back to normal. Well, it didn't, ladies and gentlemen. You see, In the fourth year, what I didn't realize was that the first 3 years I had a genuine physical sickness, okay? But in the fourth year, even though they got rid of the parasites, so they tell me, what had been affected was my thought processes and my fire, okay? So luckily I've accomplished a fair bit, as I said, so I didn't exactly get really stressed for where my next dollar was coming from. But what I also didn't have was that get up and go that I've had all my life to go and achieve, to go and help people, to go and really make things better. Whenever there's a problem, I'll get in there and I'll fix it. It really sort of helped my need to be great in many ways, especially that's a story for a different day. But how many of you business owners out there, when your staff have a problem, you feel the need to just get in there and solve the problem? Well, I'm telling you, it's you feeling you need to be great. But I digress. I want to come back to tonight. So here's the thing. What I didn't realize was it affected my thought processes, and I had to invest an awful lot of money. I asked Tony Robbins for help. I traveled to the best mentors on the planet, trying to get my passion and my why back again. And so today I'm just going to be sharing with you what I learned, what I did, and how I got that fire back, and why I'm back on track again and got the smile on the dial. So let's just see, and I'd love you down below, put it in the comments. Do you feel that you lose the passion, that maybe you've accomplished some pretty amazing things in life and then you feel a bit flat, and what's next? You've got your home, you've got your income, you've got your super, and you're wondering what the next challenge is? Well, keep watching, because I really want to help you learn what I discovered, and just maybe by the time these next 10 or 15 minutes are over, you're going to be out there making things happen again yourself. So let's take a score, shall we, of how things are traveling in your life at the moment, because this is really step one. If you scored yourself on 1 to 10 on where you are just in these divisions of your life, if you like, if you scored yourself on your health, how healthy are you right now? Be honest. You got that pen and paper, just write a number down. You don't have to think about it. Are you 1, like you can't hardly even get off the lounge, or are you a 10 where you're like a Greek Adonis? Where are you right now with your health? Are you full of energy, or are you going, oh my goodness, you mean I've got to walk to the letterbox? Okay, that's pretty much a 1 or a 2. What about your wealth? Okay, so score yourself 1 to 10 with your wealth. Are you happy with where your wealth is right now? You pretty well can say, well, I don't need to stress too much about where my next dollar's coming from because I'm pretty well set. Well, that's sort of an 8 to a 10. Or are you sort of going living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's sort of a 2 or a 3. Or if you don't know where your next meal's coming from, that's a 1, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe you have a business. If you're in business, how are you rating your business performance? And your relationships. Again, isn't that what it's all about? Your family, your friends. How you rate your relationships right now on a score of 1 to 10? Okay, you got to score down. This is very important, this exercise, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope you're doing it. And again, let me know in the comments below. This is a soul man show, this one. This is a one-man band at the moment, so I don't see your comments until I've said my piece, but I always look at them after I'm done. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on where you're at. And the other one is community, okay, that sense of contribution. So score yourself in these areas. I'm going to come back to them in a minute, but there's a reason why I've asked you to give yourself a score. And the first thing I want to say to you is, well, when was the last time you scored yourself to see how you were going? When was the last scorecard you made about how life was traveling for you? You know, when we were younger, and I'm saying before life got in the way and we had all these responsibilities, you know, maybe when you were sort of like 4, 5, 6, 7, how many of you actually felt you maybe were a bit of a superhero? I got to tell you, I was Superman. And yes, I did jump off the garage. I still remember that. It's a rude awakening when I learned I couldn't fly. But, you know, when you were young, nothing could stop you. Your imagination said, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do everything else. And sadly, bit by bit, the world told you you can't do this, and you can't do that, you can't do something else. And so I put to you, how many of those, dreams that you had did you put on the back burner and you're not accomplishing them right now? So back then, you didn't have any limits on where or what you could do in life. You had a certain story, and maybe you had this story that you wanted to be a policeman or a fireman or a superhero. Maybe you wanted to be a soldier, the cowboys and the Indians. I don't know what it was, but you all had a certain story and a belief, and you all felt in your mind, well, yeah, that's going to happen. Why wouldn't it happen? Okay, because it's real to you in here. Your mind can't tell real from unreal. And so, bit by bit, what happens is that story that you tell yourself gets molded by society to a very, very different story. And where I want to share with you right now is what I call the happy meter. Okay, and so bear with me while I get my technology organized and dazzle you all with my brilliance. But what happens with the happy meter is that, imagine this line here is your baseline. This is where you are, if you like. And then up here, this is your potential. This is what you know you're capable of doing. And so many of you are probably sitting sort of here somewhere. This is where you've gotten to from your baseline down here, okay, to where you currently are. And then this area here is the gap that's remaining between where you are and where you want to be, your true potential, what you know you're capable of doing. Now, here's where I'm coming from. This is how people become, I guess, more content and more fulfilled and more happy, is the closer this line is to what you believe is your true potential, the happier you are. This was one of the best lessons I learned from Tony, was this reality that we all have this belief in ourselves of what we know we're capable of, but for one reason or another, we are not hitting what we know we're capable of hitting. And so as a result, our happy meter, if you like, is in direct proportion to how close we're getting to what we know our true potential is. Okay, and so the reason why we may not be where we are is that we've written a story saying, well, I've pretty well given up. I'm not capable of that. That's for other people. It's not for me. Now, here's another hint for you in relation to that graph, if you like, that I just drew for you, that work of art. And this is to supercharge that happy meter. So, okay, you've worked out your story, you've worked out your true potential, you've worked out where you really are because you gave yourself a score a little bit earlier, and you go, okay, well, I'm not really feeling the love. Well, to get that needle to be moving higher, here's a hint. The more that you do for others and focus on others and try to help others, the better you're going to feel and the better your life will be. Now, I will prove this point in a millisecond, but let me just ask you another question before I do. Think about how you felt last time you gave a present to your wife or to your husband, or maybe you did something really cool for your children, or helped a friend out because they were really in trouble and so you lended a helping hand. How did you feel? Did you feel pretty good? Didn't you feel a hell of a lot better personally than maybe when you went out and you bought that piece of clothing and yet another suit to go in the cupboard, or you go and you buy a watch and you feel good for like the next day or so, and then that feeling wears off? But when you know that you genuinely have helped somebody else have a better outcome in their lives, don't you feel really good inside? Well, that's where I'm coming from. And here's how you supercharge your happy meter, if you like. I was listening on the news today and I thought it was really cool. This guy here, yes, he's a billionaire. Okay, so he's got a few more dollars than you and I. But he gave a commencement speech. And in that commencement speech to all the college students, in America, many of them rack up a student loan of, could be $50, $100, $200,000 for their student loan. And so this billionaire got up, gave a commencement speech, and unbeknownst to anyone in the room, he said, dudes, I know you've got a big college debt. I'm going to wipe out all your college debt so you get out in that world and create a mission and also pay it forward. So as you get your lives in check and as you accomplish things, you can go and help others as well. Now, how good do you reckon that guy's feeling right now? Now, yes, it cost him $40 million, but believe me, to a billionaire, $40 million doesn't hurt that much. Okay, and I'll tell you, it really is the weirdest thing. I won't go into details too much, but when you give, when you go and you help someone else out there genuinely and focused on them, the universe really rewards you. And I'm not one of these people, all the woo-woo thing, go hug a tree and sing Kumbaya. That's not really my style, but I see it manifested every day. I was just telling some friends today about something pretty amazing that happened where I helped somebody out and the very next day I got a $30,000 client. How does that work? Well, it's the universe just saying, look, do what you know is right in your heart. So this is how you supercharge and rekindle that fire, okay, is by not only focusing on yourself, but really focusing on others. So I want to run this by you. Many of you probably would have seen it if you're into personal education, but it's the success cycle. And you need to be very mindful of this continuously, especially when you're not getting traction. So let's just say you've been knocked around in life. And for those of you, again, that don't know, way back in my life, goodness me, about 15 years ago, maybe more now, I went bankrupt, ladies and gentlemen. And it was very painful for me. And, rather than being a contributor and making things happen and being the get up and go person, I really felt like a piece of crap. I felt worthless. I felt like a failure as a man, a failure as a provider. And as I kept having those thoughts in my head, as I refer to them as inhibiting thoughts, my potential was getting less and less and less because I believed that I was worthless, because I lost everything, because even though I was a multimillionaire and created an incredible company and employing 60 people and all these sorts of things, because I went bankrupt, I felt that was me being a useless human being and I might as well give up on life, okay? Now, as I kept thinking those thoughts, I took less and less action. As I took less and less action, I got less and less results and started believing more and more in the BS I was telling myself. As I kept believing more and more in the BS I was telling myself, obviously my attitude got worse and worse, and it was a self-fulfilling profile, okay? So I really nearly did something very, very stupid way back then. If it wasn't for my friend and mentor, Mal Emery, giving me a swift kick in the you-not-whats, I would not be here today. Okay, he really gave me a come to Jesus conversation because I told him that I was going to go to Byron Bay, get really drunk and look at naked women. That was my solution for me failing in life way back then. And he said, Ian, wake up to yourself, you idiot. You just had a $10 million education. You did it once, you can do it again. Now, even if any of you know Mal Emery, you will know exactly the sort of man he is. But, they were the kindest words that Mal could have ever given me, because I sat back. First I was shocked, and then I went, you know what, you little bugger, you're right. I did do it once. I can easily do it again. And that rekindled my fire. It was a bit like getting a defibrillator, putting it on my chest and hitting it again. And I went on to build 4 more multi-million-dollar companies after that, ladies and gentlemen. So this is where it is, because then I had more potential because Mal gave me that kickstart again. I took more action. I got better results. My belief and my attitude increased, and I got more potential, more action, and so on and so on. And then my life came to where I'm speaking to you today. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I really want all of you to understand that what's going on in here is so critical to what happens out here. And I hope you're getting that I'm really coming from a place where I want to help any of you that have come to a standstill to actually get started again. So here's a very simple 3-step secret to success, to getting that power back, to getting that motivation back, to stopping all the ridiculous sabotage and self-inhibiting thoughts that are going on in your head, and get started again. The first thing is understand all your thoughts are either inhibiting or enhancing your life. That's it. Is this thought inhibiting my life or is it enhancing my life? Is this friend inhibiting my life or enhancing my life? Is this partner inhibiting my life or enhancing my life? And if they are inhibiting your life, you must recognize this. You must recognize the inhibiting thoughts going on in your head, the inhibiting relationships that are going on out there, the inhibiting habits that you've been developing over your life. When you recognize them, you've got to break the pattern. And the best way, I'm going to get very, very personal and slightly embarrassed in a millisecond, but the very best way to break a pattern is to go and do something absolutely crazy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may not have noticed this as yet, but the nights are getting colder and colder. And those of you that don't have solar heating in your pool, myself included, the water's getting nippier and nippier. But whenever I catch myself in a non-enhancing manner, if I'm having inhibiting thoughts, if I'm doing inhibiting habits, if I'm doing things that are not enhancing my life, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the action that I take. And I take it without thinking. What I'm about to show you is slightly out there, I do warn you, and I may lose all credibility in about 10 seconds flat, but you cannot be plain vanilla when you want to break a pattern. When you want to break an inhibiting habit or an inhibiting practice or an inhibiting thought, you have to do something a bit crazy. So here is my way that I break my patterns when I'm not enhancing my life, ladies and gentlemen. Witness my beautiful life, and I spend 80% of my life on our farm. This is in God's country, and this is what I do whenever I get an inhibiting thought or habit that I catch myself doing. Get ready, 3, 2, 1. I believe in social proof, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, yes, that water is extremely cold. So again, put down what you do maybe. What things could you do to break your inhibiting habits or your inhibiting thoughts? Get out there, do something crazy, okay? And don't worry what anyone else thinks. It matters what you think. So here are the action steps, ladies and gentlemen, for you to get reignition, for you to take off again, for you to hit that mission in life and really stay focused on it and get things done. Number 1, take score of where you are. Okay, you must have an honest conversation with yourself about where you are in life so that you can do something about it. Step 2, examine the story you're telling yourself, because all of you make up excuses or stories about why you don't have the money that you would like, why you don't have the health you would like, why you don't have the relationships that you would like. And I'm telling you, they are all stories, they are all BS, they are all these mythical conversations that you've built around your head, making it true for yourself. And by the way, your society, the people you hang around, are helping reinforce those stories that you're telling yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Then it's time to write your new story. Come back to that time when you were 5, 6, 7, 8 and you had that cape on and you knew you could jump off the garage and be Superman. Now, yes, we can't fight gravity, but there's many other things that we can do. So write a new story. What is it that you really want? And you need to get specific. You want more money? Don't just say, oh, I want to be rich or I want more money. How much money do you want? What is the income you are going to make 12 months from now? Okay, write that new story. It is so critical. Then you just need to determine the obstacle that's standing in your way. And for those of you that think it's money, money is not the problem. Okay, it's very, very rarely a money problem. It's simply a skill problem. All you need to do is develop more skill in particular areas. And one of the best skills to develop are how you have conversations with yourself in your head, okay? That's where it all starts, because thoughts, we all know, are things, okay? Recognize these inhibiting thoughts or patterns that you've developed. break through them. Recognize that they are a fantasy. They are BS, and they're only real if you want them to be real. Then break the pattern. Now, you don't have to jump into a swimming pool that's freezing cold. You can work out some other way for you to break your pattern. And I'd love to hear some ideas down there in the comments section, ladies and gentlemen, of how you might break your patterns, if any of you are resonating with this. But again, recognize the pattern. Don't let it take form. You got to do something straight away as soon as you recognize it, and change your focus. Do something else. Do something crazy. And then monitor your progress, okay? Because how do you know you're getting better if you're not monitoring it? So closely monitor your results. Maybe for your health, it's as simple as getting your waistline and measuring your waistline each week and seeing that it's improving. If it's your bank account, well, we all know how we can measure that. But you must be disciplined. You must start measuring your results on at least a weekly basis, and preferably a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen. And look, when all's said and done, nearly everyone I have ever met in my life is exactly where they deserve to be, okay? Because all of us have our stories that we can tell ourselves, and all of us can make excuses of why we stay in our comfort zones and don't get into the growth zone. But I want all of you to understand, do not let those stories rule your life, because to the best of my knowledge, we only have one life. So why not make the most of it? Get out there, wreak havoc, have fun, and get excited again. When you're jumping out of bed full of energy, you know you're on track. You know you're on a purpose. Think of how you can help the world be better. Think of how you can contribute. And when your mind gets into that place, you're going to feel so more congruent. You're going to be so much more happier. And that fire is going to burst back into life for you, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, till next time, I hope this has helped. And again, leave your thoughts below. If you want to send me a message in Messenger. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen.